Advised field, guys. Contact!
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the New World Weekly. And I say weekly. We have not been we've not been doing weekly for a little bit since launch. It's been a little bit of a we had a little bit of a break, about a week over the Christmas holidays, but we're back and hopefully getting into some more weekly streaming content. I'm your host, Alex Blonsky, New World Interactive's community manager. And today is actually the 5th anniversary of the launch of the original Insurgency on Steam in full. Out of beta, fully launched. But if you know our history, your games have a lot longer history than that. So we started off as a mod back in 2007. And worked on the game for a long time, won Mod of the Year from a bunch of publications, even a couple of years in a row from ModDB, I believe. And finally worked our way up to actually release the game as a full game on Steam 5 years ago. I have some really good memories of playing the original Insurgency, and I know a lot of people in the chat do too. I'll read through anybody's memories that they have of the game. While we're going through. Obviously, there's still a lot of people actually playing the game right now, and that's great to see. A lot of, I think in total, we've had about, 6 million copies sold of the original Insurgency, and I think our head of marketing Johnny, was telling me the other day that we had 8 million total people playing, including the free weekend that happened last year. So a lot of people have touched Insurgency, and it's cool to see the legacy continue inside of Insurgency Sandstorm. But yeah, right now I kind of want to go through and celebrate a little bit of the 5th anniversary with you guys, and then we can do some Sandstorm related stuff after that. I know it's been a busy period of time between launch and now. But yeah, we can share a bit of what you guys liked about the original Insurgency. I've got Slayer Demise in the chat, who says, you guys have done a phenomenal job. I absolutely love this game. Keep up the great work. I got ALLMAO. I remember when my cousin showed me what Modern Infantry Combat back in 2008, which was the original mod. He just got me into PC gaming and whatnot. Been playing Insurgency ever since. You guys keep doing the great work. Yeah, I would say that the development team, because it's been such a long period of time, I just want to congratulate the guys that have been around for the longest, and anybody that's contributed to any of our games over the time that they were being built and released and supported after the fact. If you know us, we not only launch our game as kind of like a platform, but we continue to support it. So the original Insurgency was actually updated for free with free content updates for 3 straight years. So a lot of work got put into the game, a lot of work got put in the original mod, and yeah, the development team has done some great work over time. Let's see. I remember joining up for the recording of trailers for Insurgency Standalone. Was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's actually, we had a bunch of our internal testers do the Sandstorm ones as well, but we were really open in terms of letting people come in and test our content. If you've actually seen the community update that just went out for Sandstorm, was it late last week? We're going to be starting to do some more community testing with Sandstorm now. So hopefully getting stuff up on a server so you guys can play test it before we release it in full and get your feedback, because that's really important to us and helps us shape our future games. Uh, yeah, just looking through for some more feedback. Oh, I got a question. Anybody tell me how Sandstorm compares to the original Insurgency? Because I haven't played it. It was really intense as hell in a good way, and I enjoyed it. Well, if you're a fan of the original Insurgency, what makes the Insurgency series really different is like the limited HUD, and we've continued that inside of Sandstorm. I think that like the sound and making like the gunplay kind of feel in between like a military simulation game and kind of like a fast-paced action shooter is kind of the hallmark, and we've tried to continue that. I think the biggest selling points inside of the new game is we're on a new engine, so we get to do new graphics, get to do bigger maps, stuff like vehicles, different game modes, competitive, which has become a bigger thing with people playing like the competitive firefight game mode. So yeah, there's a lot of things to try out, but you can always try out the game for a couple hours and then if you really need to, refund it after if you need. Gotta say, you guys are awesome. I mean, you started with a group of modders, and now you've become one of the best new FPS games. Good job and good luck. I wish I could read your name, but but thanks a lot. Yeah, it's really cool. I think the really cool thing in the industry right now is if you think about like the most popular PC games, they all came from like a modding background. Like the PUBGs, the like the MOBAs of the world coming from like a Warcraft 3 mod. Like it's kind of crazy even to think of like some of like Valve's games like TF2, which was like originally a mod. Even Portal started off as a mod for a group of students, I believe, out in like a Vancouver game design class. So it's kind of nutty to see like how much the industry is still controlled by modding, even though kind of modding is kind of taking a back seat. To us, it's really important. I mean, it's kind of how we grew up. We still kind of function like a modding team. And yeah, it's interesting to see how things have changed over time, but really like mods have become the most popular games out there. And for us, I mean, it's something that directly translated for us with our original Insurgency mod to the full release game, now to Sandstorm. Sandstorm kind of feels like Insurgency fully realized, so intense, beautiful, and horrifying. When this game comes to console, it'll take over the market. Best shooter on PC, and it's going to translate to console. Yeah, we hope so. I mean, that's something that we never would have planned back in the day. I mean, like getting a game up on console was really difficult. Even getting a game up on PC was really difficult. I mean, before like Steam Early Access, your only real way in was to get like enough units out there and a publisher signed. And I don't know if you know any of the history of the original game, but originally it went out for crowdfunding and didn't actually hit its actual goal. So, but about the same time, Steam Early Access kind of was out there and allowed people to purchase the game early, try it out, and when we saw they enjoyed it, it allowed us to take the time to develop it out and make it a full product. And that led to the release of Insurgency, and of course now to New World as a whole, and to us actually being able to release Sandstorm and bringing the game to consoles eventually, which is kind of cool. It's not something you'd ever dream about back in 2007. This is my first review on Steam, but I had to make it because Insurgency is an amazing game. I got it from Humble Bundle for only £1.60, almost stealing. Sorry, New World Interactive. Yeah, I get that a lot actually. A lot of because our games have gone on sale so often. It is interesting to see how low a price some people have gotten the game. It's kind of funny. Insurgency is awesome and unique. Sandstorm is polished and fun. Thanks for the game. Thanks, man. Let's see. I remember missing the Kickstarter by 2 weeks. Just got a random thought of what Insurgency mod was up to and got to the KS. Was really sad it didn't make it, but glad it worked out at the end. Yeah, I mean, it's all, some of these stories are really interesting. Like you hear like the PUBG story, the amount of like games that the original developer had brought that mod to, and where it finally actually stuck and they developed into a full game. You just like none of the paths for games that start as indie games are usually that straightforward. It usually takes a period of time for you to get attention, to get out there, to improve your skills as a game developer, and then finally release it as a full product. Let's see. I know for me, some of my favorite Insurgency memories. I think the first like couple competitive games I got into back with Insurgency, you might remember there was no competitive matchmaking, so a lot of the matches were done via pickup groups in the Insurgency gym and the DGL, and so I know it took me a while, but I finally got enough confidence to try playing it, and had a lot of fun, got a lot better in a short amount of time just by playing those. And for those of the guys that are still interested, the DGL server, if you go look up discord.thedgl.org, there's still a lot of people actually playing games in that style right now, and I believe they're starting their first competitive season soon as a big tournament. I think the head of the league yesterday was telling me that they have 24 North American teams and a ton of European teams as well that have signed up. So yeah, if you want to improve your skills, I would definitely suggest going over there. When I saw Insurgency 2 for €2, I bought it because the name sounded familiar. Turned out my neighbor played it. That's funny. Yeah. You find a lot of people that have played it. And a lot of course, what happens on Steam too is if you get games cheap, a lot of people have it on their hard drive for a while and then try it out after a few months when they find one of their friends are playing it or that sort of thing. So the only way that our game really grew was either putting the game on sale and then kind of getting word of mouth, or your word of mouth in general, just being positive about the game. And Sandstorm is a lot of the same way, though we do have a marketing budget now, and of course we have people on our marketing team, including me. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see how everybody kind of picked up on the game. Sorry if you're asking Sandstorm stuff on the chat. I just want to go through a bit of stuff for the anniversary first, and then we can get into some Sandstorm related questions. Man, I think I've bought 10 copies of Standalone. I've also seen that a lot too. People buying copies for their friends, which is always kind of funny. I have some amazing moments with the game, so friends too. I have to thank New World Interactive for making this amazing game and supporting it 100%. Well, thanks, man. It being like a passion project, especially it being a mod before, and people not getting paid. I mean, that's the crazy part, really, is the like doing something because you're passionate about it for a long period of time and making the mod for that long before it actually goes out in full release. Basically like 7 years of time inside of a mod, and then finally actually making it something that is your full-time job, and you actually create a company where we have offices around the globe. I mean, it's not something that we would ever think about, but it is really cool. Let's see. I simply love this game. Why? Because you actually have to think a little, unlike games like Call of Duty where you just run through the middle of the map, the 10 kills. Also, the community is mature. Yeah, I find we do get quite a few mature people. If you listen to voice chat after a score screen, maybe not as much. But yeah, it is kind of cool. We see a lot of vets too that play our game, so that they enjoy the realistic simulation nature, and yeah. Most memorable moment was the last man standing in Insurgency Source, killed 10 people, blew up a cache, and respawned the whole team. Yeah, that is a pretty decent performance. Sandstorm is one of the games that make me laugh hysterically because it's so crazy. Like when you throw a nade into building and body parts come out the back doors. Yeah, we really ratchet up the gore for Sandstorm. Day of Infamy as well, which is kind of like our World War II version of Insurgency. Oh, looks like I gotta fix Nightbot here for a second. Some of the other things that I know I'm really proud of in the original game is the modding. If you go back, especially to our community live streams from a couple of years ago, you'll see all sorts of mods for the original game, from like a SOCOM-based mod. You've seen the anime mod featured on here a bunch of times. There's a lot of like co-op focus mod where I think there's like an Army of 5 type mod where you have like a co-op and a bot AI related group that like you compete against like co-op enemies. All the map contests, the mapping, bringing in community maps and like actually having them inside the game. The percentage of maps that were submitted that we use is kind of intense, and really proud of all the mappers out there that kind of contributed to the game's success. We're hoping to do kind of the same thing with Sandstorm as well. Sandstorm already have good maps. Good job on those. Yeah, and there's more coming too. I think we've talked about bringing some maps from the original Insurgency back. Some of the fan favorites, and you kind of can already see District, which was one of our fan favorites back inside a precinct. So seeing if we can adapt those. But yeah, it would be really cool when like modding community kind of starts up for that as well. I enjoyed pushing past the objective and Burret's push and taking out defenders as they came from spawn. Spawn camping, dude. I don't know about that. I got my friend into Insurgency, and initially he would be frustrated because he kept dying. I told him to have a little patience, and after a few hours playing, he was hooked. Yeah, I think that is like a barrier for a lot of people playing the game. We don't give you a lot of information like as in like a kill cam or it's not like you absorb a billion bullets before you die and turn to the side and actually get a look at the guy that killed you a lot of the time. So it really is about improving your skills and keeping people in the game and as immersed as possible. And yeah, it's something that makes Insurgency kind of unique and makes it a lot more hardcore than a lot of shooters out there. Let's see. This game was needed way better than the futuristic stuff you see nowadays. Modern weapons and realism is what shooter game industry needs. Yeah, I think that we try to keep like a level of authenticity with a style of combat and with our weapons and sounds and that sort of thing. It is something that we really strive for inside of the game. Not everything is going to be 100% realistic, and I don't think we should, as game designers, actually make things the most realistic they can possibly be. But we want you to feel like you are in a combat situation and make things really intense. Okay, so now we went through a little bit of like Insurgency's past. I think we'll move forward to a little bit of news. Just give me a second here. Hey, okay. So one thing that has happened over the last little bit, we announced it on our Twitter profile and our Facebook page, but basically there's a documentary crew that has actually visited our office, I believe, in Amsterdam, but I believe is going to be visiting Denver as well. And they're going to be doing a documentary on the genesis of Insurgency. They've done a bunch of other really good games before, and I kind of want to show you guys that trailer here just so you guys get a look at that. Don't have an exact date on when the documentary is going to be done and finished, but judging by the work from the rest of the Gamumentary crew, it should be pretty good. So take a look. Yeah, really short, and of course not much in it yet. But if you check out like the Gamumentary YouTube channel here, just want to give you a look. So they did like one on Darksiders, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Divinity Original Sin, Divinity Original Sin 2. So lots of cool documentary like bits, and hopefully gives you guys some insights on like the development of Sandstorm, the development of like the original Insurgency, and kind of like our story going through. So probably in a better job than the audio version I've been doing for the last 25 minutes. But yeah, it's really cool to have these guys be interested enough in our game, and yeah, hopefully you see some cool footage of that come out this spring. Other thing I did want to note as well in terms of Sandstorm, if you haven't read it already, go into Insurgency Sandstorm on Steam. There is a community update that we sent out. I think it's the first one in about a month or so. And we announced a bunch of new features that will be coming out with the next patch. We tend to just announce the stuff that we've confirmed 100% that will be out. There's still some other stuff that we haven't talked about yet. But some of the stuff we did confirm was 5 new weapons, including the MP5A5, MP5A2, and a new community testing environment, which I mentioned a little bit earlier in the stream. Competitive improvements, including tiebreaker rounds, lever penalties, and more. I'll drop this link into the chat so you guys can see it. But definitely give that a read. Yeah, Vote Kick we're going to be adding to community servers so that that they have a way to moderate their server, especially when they're offline. It's not like us where we have like a group of development team that can go in and moderate users. And I mean, if it's your server, you should be able to moderate the way that you want to moderate. Clear indications around restricted areas, game rules and spawn waves, new cosmetics, including camouflage, new gloves, and new eyewear, and of course, some surprises you might not expect. In addition, we did a couple articles that are farther down that are talking about like our cheating, exploit, and harassment guidelines, something that I have to deal a lot with my job as community manager. And basically, if you have somebody that you see cheating, there's like a step-by-step process that you can go through that it's easy way for you to report it to us. Most of the cheaters that we get, we don't manually actually go and ban. Their system, Easy Anti-Cheat, will actually go in and automatically remove them. So sometimes we'll get reports on people that should be banned, but they've already been banned by the system. It just takes a little bit for it to recognize. And yeah, there's especially on cheating or exploits or harassment, there's a bunch of information on that. If you're seeing people that are ruining your experience inside of the game, hopefully we can help you out and remove those people either for a period of time or permanently, depending on the nature of the offense. So you send in your reports, let us know, and go check out that article. So yeah, I think we can get to some questions here. So if you have any Sandstorm-related questions, I'll be taking them now. Sorry, there's a lot, so it might take me a while to get to yours. It's just quite a bit. When is the next update? We're still targeting next month. We haven't given an exact release date yet. Giving you guys exact dates is kind of difficult. We still have to go through a bunch of testing. So yeah, no exact date yet, but it'll be next month. Can you allow us to play with local bots without an internet connection? Steam offline mode, please. I think originally the intent was to do it, but I believe there was a problem with easy anti-cheat with that and getting games authenticated. I'll have to check into the status on that, but currently, no, it's not in the plan. Plans to come to Linux this year? Yeah, that's still in the plans. Still Linux 2019 and console in 2019. Again, we don't have exact release dates yet. As soon as we finalize this stuff, we release it. Like, we have all the features that were in this, this upcoming patch that we finalized, so we release those. Anytime we have something announced, we will officially release it in that manner. Let's see. Will you guys ever implement server options for a kill feed? I believe a kill feed option is available. If it's not like on custom servers, it should be. And I'll definitely take a look at that, because something that we had in the original game, but not something that we are going to add for sure to Sandstorm release on our servers. Do you ever plan on adding a clan-like feature to the game? It's very important for any kind of game to allow a clan guild system in the game and interact. Well, it depends on the features you want out of a clan guild system. I mean, we do have a party system. Most clans and guilds tend to actually congregate around, especially like voice discussion. So stuff like Discord has kind of made that into like, this is the place where your clan or community kind of hangs out, and then you kind of form groups from there. Replicating our game, we kind of, I don't know, it's difficult because there's other services out there that do it that people use more. Just like if we tried to replicate all of, let's say, Discord services in our game, that wouldn't be too good. But if you have any specific ideas, I suggest throwing them up on the forums, because it can be more detailed and it's easier for me to respond to them on there. A New World, when am I getting the Blonsky voice pack and the Corporal Stoner voice pack? Well, we do plan on adding more voices to the game, more customization over time. I don't know if I want to lend my voice. Every time Mikey tells me about like the voiceover process, there usually ends up with somebody like blowing their voice out, and these are like professional voice actors for the amount of crazy death screams that they have to do. So I don't know if I want to put my voice through it, especially trying to sound like a stoner. But it would be cool if Mikey brings back the Corporal Stoner voice pack. Is something that we get as a request pretty often. Let's see here. Somebody talking about optimization. So usually what happens with optimization is the more time that we get to actually touch the game, the more we can optimize each individual element. Optimization isn't just something that the engine programmers do. It's something that the level designers have to do, weapon designers, animations, everything kind of has to flow and sync together. So the more time that the entire group gets towards the game, the more time they have to optimize. We've had a bunch of time since our last update. So yeah, there's a bunch of specific areas that they found that they should be able to get some optimization out of. But it's kind of weird because you always get, it's like, when is optimization going to be fixed? There's no fix for optimization. You can always get optimization to a better place. There's always improvement to have, but it's not a fix or not fix. Everybody wants it to run on their system and continue to upgrade it as much as possible, to the point where maybe even we can lower system requirements, or have the game run better for most people on most systems. But that's generally the goal, is just to get it running as best as we can on as many systems as we possibly can, and something the team has been working on as a top priority for quite a while now. Let's see. What about new fire support abilities on either side? I don't think those are in the current plans. But if you do have any cool ideas, let us know about them. We have added, of course, a bunch of different abilities that we didn't have inside of, if you originally played Day of Infamy, which was our first game with like Collins, that we didn't have back then. We don't want to get to the point where there's too many of them and it gets too complicated and too many options to balance around. But yeah, if you have any cool ideas, let us know. When are we going to see the MP5? MP5 will be in the next update. Glock, I don't have a date on when it's coming back or if the Glock's coming back at all. If you've gone through the history of Glock in video games, you know that there's a lot of issues that they have with specific game companies, including their weapons inside of games. Let's see. Is there any plan to speed up reload, switching weapons, etc.? The tactical reload seems slow. Well, I guess you say it seems slow compared to regular reload. We don't want to get to the point where there's no point in doing regular reloads either. We need it to be something that is a balance. For certain game modes, tactical reloads make a lot more sense. Something like competitive firefight, when most games are decided like really quick, it's definitely worth it a lot more to go in and dump ammo every time if you need to. For a game mode that like co-op, where ammo is kind of at a premium and there's a lot longer spaces and a lot more enemies in between you and your next objective, it doesn't make as much sense. We tried to create a balance around that, but if you think that it's something we need to change, let us know. Will we ever get to see maps other than desert maps? Yeah, that's the plan. If you remember original Insurgency, we did have like some snowy peak levels. We did have ones that were based inside of like big buildings and like government building type levels. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we can do kind of with our setting that aren't just sand. In fact, we're checking out one of the new levels in testing a couple days ago and get to see how that's shaping up, and it's quite a bit different than a lot of our sandy levels, but we try to make especially our levels have like different points because they're a lot bigger now. So for example, like if you look at like Summit or something like that, you've got like a town area, like a sandy town area, then goes up to like a peak like mountain area, and then like back down again to the other side, which is kind of a little bit like Market from the last Insurgency game. So yeah, there's a lot of differences on each map, and we try to include that. But yeah, getting like a cool different setting like that would be something that our map designers would be interested in. Are we going to see custom workshop content soon? I love the custom content we created one for the previous game. Yeah, I think that is in the plans. I don't have an exact date when that's coming. We haven't announced it for the next patch, but yeah, it is something that is our goal. You know, we're coming from a modding background. We love mods. We featured them a billion times before on the stream. And yeah, can't wait to see what the community creates. Especially, like, I guess the easiest place to start will be mapping and that sort of thing, and we'll see how far we build it out from there. But yeah, we hoping to get like the same level of mod customization we had with the last game. Regards to character customizations, will you guys be adding more headgear? Comtacks by themselves, combinations of headsets and hats. I think so. I don't know if we'll allow like multiple like combos of like individual items together. So like you can't just build like this massive like H3 hat. But yeah, I think that we're going to continue to add more customization elements. I know the team's been working on stuff like new tattoos. They have been working on like a bunch of like different backpacks and all sorts of stuff. So I've seen a lot of stuff in development, and be exciting to show you guys what we've been working on. Regarding the replay system, some of my matches say live, and it's only recorded the first 5 minutes of the game. Also, would there be an option in the future to turn off the game recording system to improve performance, or would that make a difference? I believe there's actually a way to turn off that recording right now via like a command. But replay system is something that we have to look a lot on right now. It's not as big of a priority for us as optimization, as some of the game balance and bug fixes and that sort of thing. But we will end up tackling it eventually. I know I use it a lot every once in a while for looking at harassment and cheating and that sort of thing. And I found some workarounds for it. But yeah, it's something we'll continue to look at over time. Let's see. Will you guys be adding different levels of bots like in the first game? Yeah, so one of the things that we added was like a elite squad type bot that it comes out in our co-op mode. But if you go on to custom servers, people can actually set the bot difficulty level. I don't know what the plan is for adding that to like the regular like matchmaking games that we have right now, but it is something we've had as a request a lot. We'll have to see how difficult it is and how much it actually splits up the community. Like it's difficult if everybody's just looking for, let's say, bots on 5, and you got like 1/10 of the community look for bots on level 6. It's much harder for matchmaking. It's much harder to get games together. So we'll have to see where we end up landing on that, whether it's something that you get into a game and vote for or that sort of thing. But no promises yet. It's just ideas that we've seen thrown around and are kind of interesting. Notice a big difference between AMD and NVIDIA cards. Is this something limited to the Unreal Engine or subject to change? I don't know. That would be difficult to tell. Like, are you talking about like cards on a similar level? Like, I can't sit there and compare individual cards. But generally, we try to optimize for as many platforms as we possibly can, because at this point, the player base has such a diverse set of hardware that you kind of have to optimize for everybody and everything. Will bots get fixed because they look through smoke? Bots don't or cannot see through smoke. What they can see and what they're designed to do is that if they've seen you duck into smoke, just like they've seen you duck behind a door, one of the first things they'll do is they'll continue to shoot at the last place that they saw you or the place that you are going. They can't actually track you through it. The other thing that they can do is they can hear noise. So if they hear noise from a specific direction, they might start firing in that direction. But no, they cannot see. They use the same kind of tactics that the actual players would use inside of the game. Let's see. When will NWI activate the ranking system on the community server? I guess you're talking about getting experience on a community server. So what we have talked about, and no promises on this, it's just something that we've talked about, is that we have thought about having basically kind of like if you have specific settings on your server that adhere to like standards that we set out, that you would be able to get experience on your server. But if you go outside of those bounds, like spawning 100 bots into a server and then having a custom level that you just mow down bots on, we want to make sure that like that leveling system feels like you've actually accomplished something over time. So that's the thought process we have right now in terms of that, but nothing to announce yet. Just thinking out loud. Was Insurgency 2 abandoned? So we stopped development of Insurgency 2 about, I would say, what was it, a year and a little bit before Sandstorm was released, just because we want to put all of our efforts inside of Sandstorm. But the game was updated for 3 years with free content, free maps, new game modes, levels, weapons, you name it. Everything got improved over a period of 3 years. And with Sandstorm, we're kind of doing the same model in that you buy the game and you can expect free updates for a long time to improve every element of the game. Let's see. I'm sure this has already been discussed, but this is ballpark range in 2019 for Sandstorm. I'm assuming you're talking about console. No, we don't have a specific date yet. I'll just put it this way: even if we were to send it to Microsoft or Sony right now, it would take a couple months for verification and for certification. So yeah, we're still a while off on console. Do people actually like skirmish mode? I think skirmish mode has changed a bit in the way that it functions from the original Insurgency. In original Insurgency, it kind of was almost like the soft core version of firefight mode, in that like it allowed a bunch of people, like a full server, to have like kind of like a fun game and have like it end with respawns, and people kind of force people to play specific objectives. But the maps were a lot smaller in the original Insurgency. So making the maps a lot bigger has made it so that it is a lot easier to flank around and take out caches. And I think generally, like our player base, a large portion of them played push. And a lot of the hardcore players that would normally play firefight actually played skirmish a lot, because it kind of mirrored like a pickup game of playing firefight without actually going through the entire process of finding people to put together into like a 5v5 like fair firefight game that would start exactly when all those people arrived and hit start inside of the game. So yeah, I think it's evolved since then and kind of been put into a different place. It definitely plays a lot differently than the original skirmish mode. Any buffs or nerfs that's noticeable in the next update? Well, I'm not going to talk about like specific ones, but if you've seen some of the biggest discussions inside of our forums, perhaps we've made some changes that reflect maybe an overwhelming community sentiment on some of those. We've listed the cool thing about our development process is we actually, the entire team, not just me, but all the development team looks at the forums, looks at Twitter, looks at Facebook, looks at all your feedback, kind of collects it together and kind of matches it towards like our game design goals and makes decisions around those. So your feedback is really important to us. But yeah, we have taken a lot of feedback and have made balance changes around some of the things that have been either performing too well or not performing well enough. Well, if you're looking at this, can I grab one of those t-shirts? So interesting. I don't think you could grab one of these t-shirts because this one, here, turn around for a second. Got developer on the back, who's one they custom made for us, but one that's similar to having like the same front as mine. I think we literally just switched over stores for our merchandise the other day, so I'm gonna have to get you a new link to that. Amazon was being a bit finicky with our store for some reason. So we decided to dump Amazon, and we moved to, I believe, Teespring as our store. So expect us to send out some links over the next few weeks showing you where you can pick this stuff up. But the cool part about going with Teespring for our new store means that like they can print on almost anything. So you can see, like, I know they do like towels and sweatshirts and all sorts of stuff we weren't selling before, not just t-shirts. Are there going to be major differences on the console version versus the PC version aside from hardware? I think, well, some of the major stuff is like including the Sony and Microsoft community systems inside of there, like their layouts and that sort of thing. So we have to adapt and get used to those. But we made a lot of decisions early on in terms of like the layout for the UI for Sandstorm that will make it a lot easier for us to adapt over. The fact that you can use like console controller right now kind of shows you what you can do, what you can't do inside the game. But we'll have to see, like, based on player feedback and that sort of thing, where we land with some of these decisions. I think we'd want to mirror as much as we possibly can inside the game. But we'll have to go through like the same testing and balancing as we did through this to make sure that it works properly for that audience. What's the best way to report hackers? I experienced a hacker last week and it wasn't a fun time. So anybody that wants to report hackers, best place to do it is through the easy anti-cheat contact form. And I paste that in chat right now. I'll just show you what that looks like. So you go to the form, sign in with your Steam address, put in your first name, last name, if you really want to. Your email address. The important thing to add if you are reporting a cheater, and I'm basically not gonna look at your report unless you put it in, is I need you to throw in a replay ID. You get that from the history tab inside of the game, the specific game that you found the hacker. Any additional information like what I'm looking for, whether it be this person is aimbotting or clearly aimbotting, and you can see that at this specific timestamp in the replay. Something like that helps a lot, so I'm not watching like a 15 or 20 minute game and trying to figure out who you're talking about and what you're talking about. The more specific you can get, the easier it is on our end, and hopefully eventually we'll add this kind of functionality inside of the game as well, so we don't rely on just this third-party dashboard. But yeah, that's generally how you report a hacker. Just make sure if you are doing something like that, if you're reporting a hacker, that you do confirm that they're hacking. Stuff like wall banging is not always hacking. Pre-firing, pre-nades are a lot of the times a sign of like a experienced player knowing the map and knowing timings on routes, especially in competitive 5v5 firefight. So just be wary. And make sure that you have some sort of confirmation. If the guy is instant one-shotting through walls, like headshotting through walls from their side of the map, yeah, send something along. But yeah, a lot of these people actually get taken out by our easy anti-cheat system automatically anyway. So, new game modes we're working on? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It could be. Maybe one or two. Will they add night missions and night vision like the previous version? Yeah, I believe we announced that back in early December. If you go to our New World blog, I'm just going to show you over here so you can see. Go to our New World blog, games. I'll go to news here. And there's a post it's not the best name, I guess, to show you this stuff, but kind of the stuff we're going to be working towards over the next few months. Some of the weapons, and one thing we talked about was kind of doing night maps, associated equipment, including flashlights and night vision. So yeah, night mode would be pretty cool. It's definitely a lot easier to do inside of the Unreal Engine than it was in inside of Source. But yeah, hopefully can expect to see that over the coming months. Are you going to make competitive on console have mandatory game chat? I personally think that would be that could be an idea, but I don't know if there'll be any complication. Well, not everybody uses like audio in terms of chat. Like they can't. Sometimes people, especially like if they're on at night, you have people sleeping, they can't like start yelling into a mic. So it might be a little bit difficult to have that as a requirement, but for people that are playing competitive or playing competitive firefight, I would highly suggest that you use voice communication to make callouts whenever possible. I just don't know if it's a good idea as something that's a requirement. Okay. Sorry, I'm just catching up on something somebody said here. Do we have an actual release date for consoles? Not yet. You guys will know as soon as we've confirmed it. But right now, since we don't, giving you guys a first half, second half, first quarter, third quarter, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to get it done. So yeah, I know it's difficult to wait, but we're still targeting this year. Let's see. Search and destroy would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of different game mode ideas. I know for us, the one thing that we want to avoid is adding game modes just to add them. Like, there's no point in adding like 15 different game modes that are too complicated and everybody has to figure out the rules, or nobody plays the one specific game mode. It kind of just dies on the vine because you're just splitting your community with every group of servers if you think that they are going to be populated. So for us, I think that like the important part is trying to figure out what the community needs actually are in terms of game modes and making sure that we fill them wherever possible without going way too overboard in terms of game modes inside of our game. We are a smaller game than like a Call of Duty or Battlefield, but we do have a hardcore fan base. We want to give people a lot of different options and a lot of replayability. But we don't want to go too deep and split and fracture that community in terms of servers and matchmaking, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think you can expect game modes is something that we're going to be working towards. But yeah, we're not going to be adding every game mode under the sun. If you've got an idea for game mode and have some good reasons behind it, I'd always suggest that you throw that in the forums, get some people behind it, and we can kind of take a look from there on what the community demand is like and what it would be like if we did actually implement it inside of the game. Any discussions for having a separate button for slide? I don't believe so. For everybody that's always asked me about this, whether it be the original game, whether it be for this game, what I want you to do is I want you to take a video of you running as fast as you possibly can, and then to come to an immediate crouch without sliding. Please send me those videos. Please send me them. I'd be very, very excited to watch them. Do we have a timeline for PC optimization? We're not going to have a specific timeline for PC optimization. Optimization is a process that happens over a period of time. And the longer that you have developing the game, the more spots you can find to actually trim some fat, right? Or to find the issues that are causing some issues inside the game. Just like level designing, you can always make objects simpler. You can not render stuff that are behind specific objects, whether they be people or rest of the parts of levels. And that's work that the team has done. We've had a lot longer over this last patching period than we had during some of those beta updates. So yeah, I think you can expect some improvement over time, and we'll continue to improve optimization as much as possible inside of the game. Any plans on custom attachments for specific guns, such as the ISM scope for the G36? I could talk to like individual scopes or that sort of thing that they have on the table. We'll confirm stuff in like announcements, kind of like we did for this last one, if there is something that we do plan on adding. We've added a ton of scopes. We don't want to make it overwhelming as well for players in terms of options. So yeah, if you have ideas, again, throw them in the forums, see how many people get behind it, and we can evaluate from there. Let's see. So you hear from pro players what the game need to nerf and what we need to get buffed. Yeah, we talk to actually professional players all the time, our competitive community. A lot of them are inside of as internal testers. We get a lot of feedback from people that are playing competitive or playing at like the highest level of the game right now. And for us, it's not actually something that during testing we had a lot of them. Like at one point, I think like over like close to 50% of our testers that would be inside play like competitive as their main thing and are on esports teams. And I think that that their feedback is very important in terms of like the high level meta inside of the game, and gives you like a really good perspective. But we also want like feedback from like the more casual player base as well in some of the more casual modes, because it's not something that we get from that community as well. So having multiple different types of perspectives for people that are just starting the game, people that have been playing the game the longest, really helps when you're trying to figure out like the right balance in terms of what you're doing inside of your game. Let's see. I love both games, but I have an issue with SSD, which has Windows 10. Game couldn't fit because SSD is too full and game is downloaded to hard drive. Is cloning a sure possibility or a lost cause? Issue with the SSD, which has Windows 10, and couldn't fit because the hard drive was too full. Well, you should be able to download a Steam game to whatever drive that you want. If your SSD is set up as your main Windows one, you should be pulling from your regular hard drive faster. If it's set up as that type of drive. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could suggest is clearing off space off that drive. It's not exactly something we can fix from our end. Let's see. Not getting any better performance on SSD. Also, I don't think it's good to have too full an SSD. SSD performance slows down over, well, if it is full. You definitely get better loading times in our game, and especially like textures loading if you do have an SSD. So it definitely helps, and it's something that we recommend a lot of our users get as something that would be a decently easy upgrade, even if you're just using it as like a fake like boot drive to make your hard drive go faster. Listen, nerf shotgun and more scopes optimize the game as a good start. Well, optimizing the game is in the plan. Already talked about weapon balancing. I'm not sure why you're spamming chat, dude. I'm sure this is a stupid question, but is there a battle royale mode? No, there is not a battle royale mode. We've had tons of feedback from various people on what would make a cool battle royale mode. It's not something that's been actively working on, and obviously our gameplay style is a bit different than most battle royale games. I think if you do build something battle royale, you have to put a lot of effort into it and build it kind of like from the ground up. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something that's in our future exactly, but we definitely enjoy playing those types of games on the side. Planning on improved graphics or animations of soldiers? Yeah, we made some improvements to the animations in the last couple updates, and it's not like our animation guys just stopped doing work. So yeah, we're going to continue to improve animations over time. Keep textures loaded options and setting. Where does it keep them loaded? In system memory or VRAM? So it keeps them loaded in VRAM. So if you have a super powerful graphics card with a lot of VRAM, we put that option in there because it stops kind of like some of the texture pop in that is occurring. But of course, like if you don't have a fast graphics card, it's something that I would definitely suggest turning off. Because although you will get less of like the texture load, it's definitely going to start chugging on your computer because it's going to use all the available VRAM on your computer at any given time. It's just going to fill it up with textures. And if you actually hover over like some of the tooltips for some of those options, you can see what they're actually supposed to mean. Lots of talk about shotguns, and yeah, we've seen the player feedback, and we've done some testing internally, and I guess you'll see the results of that with the next patch. What have seen actually in the last little while is a lot of community arguing with each other back and forth on the viability of shotguns inside of our game, and we definitely want to make sure that shotguns are always something that is an actual option and that has like a specific purpose inside of the game. I don't think we want our shotguns to be super overpowered so that we have the max amount of shotguns per game, and we balance around that. But yeah, we want to make sure that shotguns aren't just an afterthought like they are with a lot of other games, that they are actually viable. So yeah, we'll continue to make adjustments until everything feels right. Let's see. Let's see, lots of ideas for different co-op game modes. Will there be any partnership content creator programs with Insurgency? Hoping to join if there will be one. Yeah, so if you are somebody that is a content creator currently, we do have a list of them, and we do send them a lot of stuff and give them a bunch of different opportunities. Obviously, you have to be like at a certain level of streamer or YouTuber, that sort of thing. But if you do want to connect and sign up for that, best place to go is to drop us an email at media at newworldinteractive.com. Send us an email, let us know about your channel, how big it is, the type of content you're planning to do, and yeah, we'll go check it out. We have one person specifically on the team that goes and works with all of our partners on that. And if you watched during the launch, you saw a ton of them in a kind of a partnership program we did, which was like a 24-hour streaming campaign that lasted about 2 weeks on this channel and others. So yeah, definitely go and sign up at media at newworldinteractive.com. Let's see. Don't know if you already addressed this, but will there be a return of HP and AP ammo available in Insurgency? No. So basically, the downside of HP and AP ammo in the original Insurgency, AP ammo, there was no point in not taking it because it allowed your rifle to penetrate different varying surfaces, and also basically negated any armor that people would take. And then some people in the counterculture started taking HP ammo to kill those people faster, but would not get the benefits of AP. So generally, everybody used AP ammo on everything and kind of created like an unhealthy meta. We want to make sure that our meta is around like our actual weapons, so that weapons have different functionality and various like rates of penetration and firing rates and that sort of thing, and we can bounce around that rather than just like a damage boost add-on or something that adds like utility. That became like a meta that wasn't sustainable over time, so it isn't something that we're looking to add back into the game. Let's see here. When you guys started on working on Insurgency, what types of maps you firstly thought to add to the game? So I think the most like the towny type maps, like the like Contact, like District, or like the styles of maps that originally were planned, where it was really like CQB. And over time, especially with Sandstorm, we've allowed like the game to kind of expand out a bit in terms of like the size and the scope of maps. But we always try to keep like a varying level of allowing like people with long range rifles to do work versus people in like a close quarters environment. So nothing was really overpowered. Regarding the send me sprinting very fast and crouching videos, where do we send them? Just you can throw them up on Twitter or Facebook and just tag us in them. I would love to see the sprinting and kneeling instantly. Ugh. Please send me them. Oh. Let's see. Any restricted modes going to be marked on the map? I'm guessing you mean like any restricted areas marked on the map, on the mini map. Something that we've thought about doing, I know the team has been looking into that because something we saw a lot in reviews. I don't know what the final implementation will look like, but yeah, we want to make those areas a little bit more obvious if you're in an area that you like, an area that you shouldn't be in and can't fire and are trying to figure out why. Will we see some maps from the source version? Yeah, we did announce that a couple of the maps that we're going to be working on. I think the biggest remakes so far, well, you see District's already in the game a little bit, but Ministry and Sinjar are ones that we're hoping to look towards doing, and I have seen some work on them. So yeah, it would be really cool to see some of those older maps inside of the game. Any regards to adding more suppressors to a specific class like the Observer class? No, but if you have an idea for it, throw it up in the forums. Just give us some more reasons behind it. It's really hard for me to enact some of like the things from this specific chat, but if you do have like any cool ideas or any suggestions that you want inside of the game, throw them up on the forums, because it's the part where like the rest of the team checks, and yeah, we can. It's also easier for us to see how much like weight or how much the community is behind specific changes. Let's see. Do you plan on adding support for older GPUs that are 2 GB cards and GTX 1050 and below? Well, I believe we do support below a GTX 1050. But yeah, in terms of like the 2 gig cards or some of the older cards, what we have talked about is once we get like to a better level of optimization that is possible, we might be able to lower the system spec, or at least like have better like recommended system requirements for people. But we'll have to see how far down the rabbit hole of optimizing stuff can get, because every single time that we do any work on the game, it affects the optimization on specific maps, any kind of changes. So it's a constant balance and something we'll continue to work on. Workshop release date, we don't have a specific one. I've already answered the question, sorry. 7-on-7 or any number competitive, please. I don't know. I don't know if our maps are set up specifically for like a 7-on-7. I guess you could do that in a custom server. I just think that like 5-on-5 is the easiest to get the number of players, especially for people that are trying to play the game competitively. I think like opening up beyond that is kind of interesting. I don't know. If you have thoughts around it, again, throw it in the forums and let us know. It's hard to go back and forth inside of chat on some of the answers. How often do devs play the game? I saw a level 212 on multiplayer the other day, and I was jaw dropped and haven't even seen a level 100, let alone a 200. Devs play the game quite a bit. It's devs also have to like have side games as well. I know I have some side games, just because like a lot of the time you're just spending like testing and doing like your gameplay is during testing, so doing gameplay outside of that doesn't happen as often. But yeah, some of our development team has put in a lot of time in the game, and I have seen some of the guys up over level 100. I don't know if I counted a level 200 yet, but yeah. It's cool to see people put in so much time into the game. Any new voice packs? Yeah, they take a while to actually make, so it's not something we'll be releasing like every patch per se. But we do have the ability to add new voice packs, and you saw the Eastern European member, or the Eastern European voice pack come in with the last update, which was kind of cool. And I think that it would be really neat to add a bunch more. Just give people a lot more options in terms of the voices that they end up using. Don't support competitive modes, nobody cares about them. I don't know if that's true. I think that the interesting part is the original Insurgency. I would say one of the downsides for me when I started getting into playing the game and joined the team was that that if you were playing something like Push or even like a general firefight server, like an open community firefight server, there was no like actual end game for that beyond leveling up or like getting higher KDA, which kind of get boring after time. I think like the cool part about 5v5 competitive, it gives people a set of like new tactics and callouts and like a different level of game that's beyond, that allows people to aspire to play more competitively and be like a more competitive person. And I think like the esports that a lot of other games that have out there or that they kind of rely on, they kind of push people to get better as well. When you see somebody that can play a game at a specific level, that you want to aspire to be able to do that. I always kind of compare it like, I live in Canada, and basketball was never a big thing in Canada up until the point where I'm sure you've heard of Vince Carter, who's like a for sure Hall of Famer down the road, is when he got popular playing for Toronto's NBA basketball team. Basically there was a huge uplift or uptick of people that wanted to play basketball in general in the country because they see what basketball is like, they have more exposure to it, and then they aspire to be better. And now we're at the point where Canada as a country is producing a ton of great like basketball athletes and like getting #1 picks like back-to-back NBA drafts. So I think the same sort of thing goes with competitive, in that competitive play makes people aspire to be better players, and by being better players inspires more people to be better players. So I don't know, I think that it is something that that should be at least a bit of a focus in our team, to give our game some sort of like end game. I was hoping for cosmetic items to be available at level 100 or 50. That way it's something to grind for, and it is only available for elite levels and such. Yeah, that's still maybe a possibility. I mean, we want to make sure that that everything is achievable. We want to make sure that that people feel like they've earned something in game. So that would be an interesting way to go about it. But yeah, I'll have to see what the team wants to create, and like how they want to dole that out. Right now the system of course is just about leveling up and making sure you get the funds to be able to buy the stuff that you want, so you can kind of buy what you want right away if you want to do that. We don't lock everything out the same way. So yeah. I want to tip my hat to whoever wrote the loading screen tips. Some of them hilarious. I think that was mostly Mikey. Yeah, some of them are pretty good. I'm sure you've seen like to not use messy chips, to use like baby carrots. Yeah, I remember he sent me over like the list for some proofreading and that sort of thing. And yeah, some of them were pretty funny. And who knows, maybe we'll continue to add some in the future as well. Wondering why our questions are not being seen. I was thinking of joining late. Sorry, there's just a lot of questions. For the people that are on we now are streaming to a bunch of different platforms now. We got YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So if you don't see as many people in chat, but there's a ton of people asking questions in all these different platforms. So I know it feels like you're being ignored, but there's just a ton of questions. Sorry, man. New player here, just ranked 17 or so. What does the team think about the fact there's a lot of players forced to tweak the ini files in order to attain good performance? Well, I mean, that's kind of a PC game setting thing in general. It's not just an ini file thing, it's an in-game settings thing. And hopefully you won't have to tweak it as much as we go through like more optimization. But kind of the same things that affect performance on every game affect like the most performance on our game as well. Like loading a ton of textures, cranking AA, shadows are a massive one. But I see this with other games as well. Like I played the newest like World of Warcraft expansion, and like I've got a 1070 in my rig, and I was only getting like 30 frames per second in town, and you're like, oh my god, this game is how old? It's like at least 10 years old, and I'm getting like 30 frames per second on like a brand new card. But as soon as I started turning down stuff like shadows or some of like the rendering distance, like it was fine. There's always some tweaking you have to do on PC, but that's the cool part too about PC is you can kind of tweak it to as much as you want. For guys with really old like INI files or really old configuration settings, I'd always suggest starting from scratch and reading a guide out there. There's a lot of them on Steam. I've seen a bunch on Reddit and in the forums. I think there's a link or two in our performance forum on Steam right now. So giving you kind of an idea of the ones that kind of or affect your performance the most. So definitely go check those out. But yeah, we'll continue to work on optimization issues, obviously. Let's see. Is there any chance you guys would add a survival mode for co-op where you have to survive against infinite waves? Yeah, it might be an interesting idea. Again, flesh out your idea and throw it up in the forums and see what the feedback is like. Because that'll help us like get more feedback and more description and see how popular the idea is. Do YouTubers get paid for partnership with you guys? If so, how much they get? Do they sign a non-disclosure agreement with New World Interactive? So it depends on what the specific deal is. For some agreements they would, for some they would not. For anybody that's generally reviewing our game or just wants like a game review, we don't require them to sign anything. We just kind of give them a key if they're a big enough channel. But yeah, if we're doing like some sort of promotion thing and we're paying them, obviously we have to set up something so that they're contracted to actually do the work that they're contracted to do. So that's interesting. But yeah, we'll continue to evolve our partnership program over time. We're working with partners, asking them what they want out of that program, and we'll continue to evolve it from there. And yeah, we'll get a couple more questions in before we end the stream. Don't want to go on too long. Might be doing another stream later this week, but we'll get back to our more regularly scheduled program. Any chance we'll be able to customize loadouts outside of matches? Yeah, we've seen that request a lot. I don't have a specific like solution for you right now, but the team has definitely seen it. For right now, the best like temporary workaround I could suggest is to open a local game and set up your loadouts inside of there. Just because it doesn't matter inside of a local game. Just go in there, choose your loadout, save them, and go from there. But inside of the menu, we don't have a option right now. But we have seen the feedback on that. Where in Canada are you? Hope you're keeping warm. It's frigid in the prairies. I'm outside of Hamilton, Ontario, and yeah, it's been crazy cold and snowy. Last couple days have been down to at night like minus 22, which is like not minus 22 degrees Celsius, which is freaking cold, man. It's really cold. My dog has started walking like this, like picking up her paw or like limping every once in a while because she's getting too cold, and I don't really want to go and get booties for her because it always looks a bit weird. But I'm probably gonna have to try to figure out how to like get more exercise for her inside right now because it's too cold for her to walk outside. You guys doing any sponsors streams to promo the next update? Yeah, that's typically the time we start marketing efforts back up again, is with big updates and that sort of thing. So yeah, if you are a content creator, send us an email with all your information at media@newworldinteractive.com. We've actually been talking the last little bit internally on our marketing team. What's the best things that we can offer our streamers, and well, our streamers and the guys that make YouTube videos of our game, because it is important to us to have that community feedback, and not just like we pay people and they say what we want us to pay, because that is the rarity. It really is like to give them like something as an incentive to continue to continue making content for our game, because a lot of the time they're doing it for free or for not much money. So yeah, it's important to keep that community going. Are you guys working on full body view when I look down? No, it's not in the current plans. And since people are joining late, we don't have an exact date on the next patch. We're targeting next month, but I can't give you an exact date yet because we still have to go through some more testing. But yeah, expect something sometime next month. When we do get it closer to actual launch for the next patch, we will let you know. As soon as we confirm anything inside of our development, we typically let you guys know right away. So huge props to the sound guys. Fantastic. Yeah, one of our sounds actually won recently a game award. I forget which one it was specifically, but yeah, we did win an actual game award, which is really cool. Here, let me look it up, because oh yeah, Game Informer's 2018 Shooter Awards. We got Best Sound. I'll show you here. Browser. Best Sound Design, Insurgency, Sandstorm. Battlefield has dominated this category for years. This year we have a newcomer on the front lines. Insurgency Sandstorm takes a page from old school Battlefield playbook to create a riveting war experience. Hearing the footsteps of approaching enemies as you hunker down at the control point, waiting for to open fire builds an extraordinary amount of tension, and the satisfying thwack of gunfire really drives home the point that one shot from these deadly modern day weapons will end your life. Yeah, and that's what we really want to get out of the sound inside of the game, is making sure you felt like you were actually in a firefight and made it really tense, removing all the distraction, the UI away, and making sure that like just the gunplay and the sound really carry you through. Great job, guys. Countless hours of entertainment right here, and the sounds have scared me plenty of times. Keep it up. Thanks, man. Hey there, just want to say I love the game. Hope everything is going according to plans. Keep up great work. Yeah, everything's been going great. Launch went really well. Got a lot of people playing the servers. Team has been working on a lot of new updates, and yeah, it's cool to see a lot of people coming over from other games. Got some like Rainbow Six pros and stuff that have been playing our game recently, and yeah, hoping to continue to evolve it over time to your liking. But we only get that feedback from you guys, so I keep on pushing it again, but throw your ideas up in the forums. Let us know what you like, and try to be as constructive as possible, because the more constructive you are, and less time you're spending arguing with other forum members about stuff, the easier it is for us to digest that feedback into something that's actually something we can implement in game. So most important question, will you guys do public servers where instead of match ending, head back to the lobby, continue onto the next map? I know it's for custom servers, but not public. Yeah, we've talked about like a different flow for our servers. I think they're still trying to work out what that exactly is going to entail. But yeah, the team has definitely talked about it. I just don't have anything to reveal on the stream. Can we be able to invite friends in the game, or is that a work in progress? So I know you're having the whole party leave because the guy crashes in on the loading screen. Yeah, we have definitely seen that as a request before. Again, I can't tell you that like if we're gonna make a change exactly on that, but we've seen that feedback quite a bit. So so the team has taken it back. Will call vote kick option come back? Yeah, it's going to be back on community servers, hopefully with the next update, so that especially because on community servers you don't have somebody there that's moderating it. On our servers, we want to make sure that that people that are abusing the system actually get either banned from the game entirely if they're hacking, or if they're continuously providing like a negative experience to other players. And we do that via the same ways that a lot of other games do. You have in-game design decisions that make sure that you cut down the number of ways that people can kind of troll each other or team kill each other and that sort of thing. We'll continue to evolve those in-game mechanics over time, as well as having like a system in which you can report people, and we can follow up and make decisions based on that over time. What we did find is vote kick, especially on our servers, is that people would abuse the system, and I know you guys don't see that a lot of the time. I know I see it a lot, of people jumping into servers and getting kicked unfairly, being the last person in a game. I've seen people say that people not using the commander role inside of the current game should mean you get kicked out of the server, which is kind of a ridiculous thing to me, especially if you have something that is new or learning. There's lots of ways we can get around these issues with in-game mechanics, but for the most part, as long as you guys are reporting stuff to us, we'll go and take care of it. And yeah, you can report from anything from toxicity to griefing to cheating. So final questions here. In your opinion, who should lead and who should follow, observer or commander? Well, generally, commander should be in the lead, because the commander's a lot of his part of their job is to get the sight on the specific area that they're going to call in a strike. After which point, the observer is going to technically cover that space and make sure that the commander can actually get a good view on the point that they're calling in an airstrike or smoke or whatever they're going to be doing. And then after that point, it's up to both of them to move up together into the next point where they want to call in a specific objective. So I don't know if they'll exactly take turns, but you definitely have to get to a point where the commander can see the spot on the map where they're going to call in air support. Are exploits or glitches bannable offenses? Like not under a map glitch, but an area you can't normally get to, and it's cheeky and not meant to be. Depends on the nature of it. I know that there's some specific bugs that people know about and exploit inside of the game, and when it's clear that they're exploiting an actual bug that's known, then harsher punishments would be out there besides somebody just found a specific area. So that's why we definitely encourage you to include like the replay ID so that we can look at footage and see exactly what the context of that scenario is. Is there any update on Linux for Sandstorm? Looking forward to playing it, and it doesn't work in Steam. Play Proton because of anti-cheat, and nor do we plan to support it on Steam Play or Proton. We would much rather take our time and work towards a full Linux and Mac implementation than have a workaround. But no specific timeline, sorry. Anyway, we got a lot of questions in today. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We may be on later this week, depending on my schedule. But I think you can plan on seeing us doing more streams more often. Now that we got through the really, really busy launch period, I was spending, especially the first couple weeks, I was doing 16 hours a day. I pretty much went from my bedroom to the computer room and never saw anything else during those couple weeks. So the team was also very busy doing kind of the exact same thing to get that last patch out for the 23rd, or right before the Christmas break. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we've been working on, and hopefully you guys get to see that soon. I want to thank everybody that stopped by all the guys that dropped in memories of the original Insurgency on its 5th birthday, and for everybody that asked Sandstorm questions today. If you have any more questions, as always, throw them in the forums, throw them on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to put them. We look at them all. We don't get to respond to all of them, but it gives us a good indicator on this kind of stuff that you guys are interested in and the kind of ideas that you guys have for the game, and helps us with feedback and making sure that we modify the game to the best way that we possibly can. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we will see you guys